News Voice is the world's first mobile app that helps you track where your news is coming from. News Voice helps you track what corporate interests might be influencing the narratives in the news you read every day. Arm yourself against corporate media monopolies by downloading the News Voice app for free using the link right underneath this video. So after nominating Amy Coney Barrett to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court, Donald Trump had another one of these rallies, and you can tell he's emboldened, he's feeling powerful, he's feeling the alpha male, although remember that we can still hold him accountable for his perversion of democracy and remove him. Let's look at a few clips from this event. This was a rally in Middletown, Pennsylvania. It was truly horrifying. Yes, Donald Trump was again struggling to speak, of course. We'll get those out of the way first, saying Joe Biden should be asking people not for forgiveness, but for forgivetiveness. All right, take a listen to this.
Biden shouldn't be asking for your vote. He should be begging for your forgiveness. That's a little hokey. But we'll talk.
Yeah, that's not really the dystopian part. It got truly dystopian and authoritarian very, very quickly. Donald Trump here commending U.S. Marshals for killing a man who was suspected of murder in Portland. One eyewitness says that the man was executed by U.S. Marshals. Note that this doesn't include this thing. What's that thing called? The right always talks about it. Due process. I'm sorry. Yeah, due process. It doesn't include due process. Take a look.
Portland is anarchist. And you had the guy 2 weeks ago. Remember, he shot and killed the young man in the middle of the street. Just shot him like I don't want to even say like what, because his parents are so devastated. A young man, and they shot him and killed him. This one guy, this one animal. And 2.5, that's right, over his hat. Not our hat, it was another hat. It was a Christian hat. It was a Christian hat. He was a Christian. He was a Christian. And they shot him, killed him instantly. And this guy that shot him, everybody knew who he was, right? And I said, after 2 days, where is he? Did you arrest him? No, we didn't. After 2.5 days, did you arrest him? And then I put out on social media, why didn't you arrest him? And you know what? The U.S. Marshals saw it. They went in, and he pulled a gun on him. And 15 minutes, it was all over. None of our guys were hurt, and he was gone.
These crowds will cheer for anything. They truly will. Then Trump continuing with his fear-mongering about the election thanks to mail-in ballots, which Trump is simultaneously saying will be fraudulent. But at the state level, the Trump campaign is telling people, their supporters, request absentee ballots, vote by mail, vote by mail. Notice in this one that Donald Trump's fear mongering starts to peter out. Like it looks like he's running out of batteries, and he seems to realize he's not making much sense. So he goes back to the teleprompter, which he uses despite attacking Joe Biden for using one. It's actually jarring when Trump switches from riffing aimlessly back to the prompter.
And all I'm asking is people go out to vote, and stop with this nonsense, because we're going to be counting ballots for the next 2 years. And I don't want to end up in the Supreme Court, and I don't want to go back to Congress either, even though we have an advantage if we go back to Congress. Does everyone understand that? I think it's 26 to 22 or something, because it's counted one vote per state. So we actually have an advantage. Oh, they're going to be thrilled to hear that. I'm sure they're trying to figure out how can we break that one. Biden wants to confiscate your guns and indoctrinate your children with poisonous anti-American lies in schools, right?
Donald Trump does this unintentionally hilarious thing during these speeches where he reads the teleprompter not as if they're his own words. He reads the teleprompter as if it's a news article that he's commenting on, and then he'll react to it. Sometimes he actually seems surprised by what's on the teleprompter. Very, very odd, particularly for a guy who criticizes everybody else for using teleprompters. Then his fans start chanting, "Lock her up," when Hillary Clinton's name was raised. And Donald Trump says, "I agree, lock her up."
That was like Hillary, remember? She made a horrible statement about clean coal, and then she went, crooked Hillary, and then she went 3 weeks later. I agree.
Trump has now said really everybody should be locked up. Hillary should be locked up. Obama and Biden, at one point, he said 50 years in prison they should be serving for their crimes against Trump. Trump still has not enumerated what those crimes are, but for their crimes against Trump, I believe James Comey should be locked up. It actually sounds like a dictator when you say anybody who disagrees with you politically should be locked up. Trump then, still having trouble with the size of his crowds, Trump claims there were 35,000 people at his rally the previous night in Virginia. There were reportedly 4,000 people there. Take a look.
We have tens of thousands. Somebody said 17, 18,000. Last night we had 35,000 people. You saw that in Virginia. You know, we're making a play for Virginia because we have a governor in Virginia. You know that.
Facts simply do not matter. The facts don't matter about the micro. The facts don't matter about the macro. It is a culture of lies. It is a culture that does not care what reality is. Coronavirus. He did great. We're doing great. Well, that's a lie. Crowd size at some pathetic rally you shouldn't even be having. He says 35,000. It was really 4,000, maybe. Then Trump starts talking. This is almost sad. If this weren't the president, it would almost make you kind of feel pity. Trump is talking about his Nobel Prizes as if he won them, as opposed to being nominated for them by bogus right-wing European politicians. Take a look.
Gotten 7. But the fake news never even put it on. And somebody had a show where they said the amount of time devoted to Donald Trump's Nobel Peace Prize, 2 of them, 0 on the network, 0. Then the amount of time devoted to something else that was negative for somebody in the Republican Party, it's like infinite. It is so disgraceful. They're so bad.
Trump's 2 Nobel Peace Prizes. What? He has no Nobel Peace Prizes, as you might know. And then Trump starts to wrap up his speech, but he kind of gets sidetracked riffing about how he has all of these weapons at his disposal, the likes of which no country has seen before. And he again seems to still think that a stealth plane is not just invisible to radar. He still seems to think it's invisible to the naked eye. And he pulls out that SIR routine that we've come to know so well.
Might, and we will ensure peace through strength. You know, we rebuilt our military. You saw it, $2.5 trillion. We have weapons. I mean, just to talk about them, the likes of which no country has ever seen before. The power, the strength, the incredible talent and engineering. We have weapons the likes of which no country has ever seen before. We are so far advanced over every other country, and hope to God we never have to use them. And when I got here, we were a depleted, tired military with great people, but we were exhausted. We had old jet fighters. Now we have brand new F-35s that are stealth. I asked one of the pilots, how good are these planes compared to the enemy? He said, well, one difference is you can't see our planes. I said, let me ask you, I don't know too much about flying. That helps, doesn't he? He said, it really helps, sir.
So you can tell that, yes, the rallies have always been whacked. They've always been gong shows. But you see an emboldened Trump on the basis of having nominated a replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the probably accurate assessment in his defense that he is likely to get her confirmed. We've got an uphill battle ahead of us here, my friends.